My name is Jesper and I'm hosting the Agile Evolution track. And you should go to the Agile Evolution track because it is going to be the best Agile track ever. So that's just to state that. We're going to do something quite unique. We're actually going to look critically at Agile practices in the last 2 decades. And maybe it turns out that not all of those Agile practices are ideal in each and every single situation. So we're going to try to attack that from a number of different angles. And in the first session, it's going to be myself, and I can never really pronounce his name correctly, but I think it's Guilherme. And we're going to talk about how we can do this, how we can look at some of the Agile anti-patterns which we've been creating over the past decades, and see if we can try to attack and understand them seen from a Kanban and Lean perspective. We'll try to kind of use some of those techniques to understand these problems and find better solutions. Yep. And Joseph Yoder, he's going to talk about how we can keep on talking about these nice and clean architectures, and what we still end up using in 90% of all cases is this big ball of mud. So he's going to try to investigate why this big ball of mud is so interesting, and why we keep on making it, even though we have intention to do the exact opposite. If you've been following the QCon SF on the web, you would have noticed that this talk has changed quite a lot of times now. It started out being Timothy Finch from InView, then it became John Watt from InView. Unfortunately, John Watt got sick yesterday, so now it's Isay Smith who's going to do the talk instead. The subject is the same. It's about continuous deployment, and it's about what it takes to be able to deploy to production 50 or more times a day. The architecture needed, the software needed, the practices needed, and the culture needed to be able to do that. So myself, I'm looking very, very much forward to that, especially the technical side of it. I'm pretty intrigued, actually. The next one is the always entertaining Dan North. And if you don't know, what has actually happened to Dan is that he's back to doing real work. He spoke at Yahoo about this, and it turns out that some interesting facts come up when you start doing real work and real coding again. And some of those Agile practices that you've been living up to for the past years might not actually be that relevant when you're able to do things in a high-performance team that you just didn't think was possible. The very last talk is one I'm looking very much forward to also. It is Leonardo Macciacci from CIT, and he's going to talk about how being Agile actually can lead to you just producing very, very high quality, very fast, and very reliable waste. So he's going to talk about value generation from a Lean perspective, and he's going to talk about how seeing things from a Lean perspective can lead you to actually see things in a bigger context and change the entire organization. So he's covering the more organizational part of it and the value seen from the customer perspective. Yep, that's it.